suits on KFI.
Let's go.
In the picture we are about to see, we must remember...
On his return, Americans showed their gratitude.
That's all you get. KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. Welcome to the Dark Secret Place. Bryan sits in here live until midnight, and a whole lot of stuff to get to. The truth versus rumors about Russian interference with the American election and Russian, quote, illegals. Like, if you're a fan of the movie The Americans, the guy who for years trained Russians on how to come to the United States and act and walk and smoke and think like an American, he just died 2 days ago, and an extraordinary interview with him. I'll play you some of Jack Barsky, and I'm doing air fingers. The man who taught a generation of Russian spies how to act like an American. And he ironically died in freedom, died as an American. So the Canadian sniper who reportedly killed an ISIS suicide bomber 2 miles plus, we'll talk about that. And China, through the People's Daily, the official spokes newspaper of the Communist Party of China, saying that complete denuclearization of North Korea is a common goal of the U.S. and China. We'll get to that, all kinds of stuff. But let me... and by the way, heads up on this one. I know this is not exactly your weekly look at the world melting down in terms of terrorism and counterterrorism and war and spying and the whole thing. But tomorrow up at Vandenberg Air Force Base is going to launch, and their window is this: the notice to airmen and mariners. If you're the area immediately like directly south for 130 nautical miles south of Vandenberg, it's weird. The way they do this is that the launch area that all aircraft are supposed to clear, meaning planes, either, if there's an approach over the ocean to LAX or departure out of LAX, they usually turn pretty sharp pretty quickly, and they turn over Pacific Palisades and start heading north, because you go north to go over the pole, you go north to go to Tokyo and all that. So usually part of the reason Vandenberg worked so well where it is, because in reality, it doesn't really interfere with a lot of stuff. But the launch window is very long and very narrow. It's 134 nautical miles long and about 20 nautical miles wide, because that's the launch stay out of. That's, if anything goes wrong with the launch, that's at 1:25 p.m. So if you're on the coast, you're going to be able to see a SpaceX Falcon, whatever it is, a Falcon 2, takeoff. It has 11 Iridium satellites that it's launching. So then, because here's the shtick with SpaceX, as we all know, that main launch motor comes back and lands in hopefully a controlled fashion on a barge at sea. And so the initial launch window ends at about 2 p.m., then there's the come back to Earth window. So the entire thing closes at like 2 p.m. So they're assuming, so far SpaceX has been really good about hitting their launch times. They come up with a time. They say 1:25 Pacific time. And they usually launch, boom, right there. So anyway, the Falcon 9 rocket will lift off from the launch pad of Vandenberg, and it'll launch 10 satellites for Iridium. I said 11, my bad. But so anyway... and then it comes back to Earth. So, and you can stream it all at their SpaceX website. They put HD cameras on the vehicle, so you can see it taking off, and then it separates from the orbital vehicle that launches the satellites, and it comes back to Earth. And so you see it from that perspective, from the top of the rocket looking down at the ocean. And it's, I don't know what you're doing on Sunday. I'm just saying, if it's 111 where you are, then you might do what I might do, and that is stay indoors and get behind the computer and watch that. All right, so first things first, a situation update in Mosul. You've heard me saying now for a couple months that the end game for ISIS is afoot, and it has been afoot. And if you consider what's happening in Syria, my oft-used doubleheader analogy, here's how this works. We're in the bottom of the ninth. ISIS is down 40 runs. They have 2 outs, and you know who's up to bat? The pitcher, because ISIS is National League. And they're not going to win this. But the deal is, for the United States, we're unaware that this is a doubleheader, and that the second game has already started. The second game is called What Will Syria Look Like When ISIS Is Gone? We're still playing Let's Kill ISIS. But Iran, Putin, the Gulf Arab states are playing the second game of this doubleheader. They know that we are on the mound, and there's no way we're going to blow this save. There's absolutely no way that we can blow this save. Just absolutely none. We are Sergio Romo on this one. So, when he was a Giant, I should say. And so anyway, in Mosul, where ISIS are down to just a few blocks, thing one, there's no American major network correspondents who are covering this for you, for a really good reason. Because by and large, Americans are kind of over it, and we're really not watching it, even though there's several thousand Americans involved in the assault on Mosul. The British, meanwhile, are almost the opposite. The British do not have a lot of guys involved on the ground in Iraq around Mosul. They do have guys training Iraqis and Kurds and things like that, but they're not involved the way that we and the French are in the actual direct support with artillery and aircraft in Mosul. Anyway, BBC has a reporter. I have tremendous respect for this guy. Quentin Sommerville, the Scotsman. The guy has a gigantic sack. This is, if Martians land and say, take us to your modern war correspondent, this is one of the handful of guys that I would point him to. He embeds himself with the Iraqi forces. He goes where they go, and not the ash and trash, but I mean the tip of the spear kind of guys. So he put together this report, and I can't play the entire thing, but I'll tweet this out. 5 minutes, 46 seconds. He is able to forensically do an autopsy of an entire ISIS suicide bomb unit. The unit that went out and recruited guys, built bombs, found targets. They called themselves fire support, which is a grotesque joke played on any civilized country that with a normally organized military, where fire support means artillery. But anyway, so when we come back, I'll play you some of this, but I'll also tweet out a link to this. Well worth your time after the show or tomorrow. But it really is gripping stuff. And this is the kind of inside stuff that I would expect an American reporter to maybe go there and do. But none have done it, and it's no fault of their own. It's because their editors are saying no one cares, so they're not doing it. So they're taking other people's reports. Anyway, it really doesn't get any better than the information that this guy has, Quentin Sommerville. So I'll play you a little bit of this when we come back. And yeah, we'll talk CIA versus Russian election interference, and we'll get it from a guy who spent his life in the KGB until he died a few days ago. That and more coming up. It's the Dark Secret Place tonight, live until midnight at KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. More stimulating talk. Bryan Suits in here, the Dark Secret Place, on the Tweeter machine at Dark Secret Place. Also on Facebook. The Facebook group is the Dark Secret Place. Wednesday at Dave & Buster's at 8 p.m. live show. I'm gonna tear apart the 10 worst war movies of all time, and I'm gonna build up my 10 favorite war movies, and I'm gonna show you just the significant clips. We can argue it, and then also there will be, of course, as always, stuff and junk. As we always do at my live shows. You can go to Twitter. It's the pinned tweet for ticket information at Dark Secret Place for this Wednesday, the 28th, at Dave & Buster's in Hollywood. And stand by, but I'm going to try to do this Ontario thing next week, if that works out. It's these darn kids and their graduations, and then these people in their marriages. So that's why we do it on Wednesdays, because someone said, oh, why don't you do it on Fridays? Well, because Dave & Buster's have a life, because they're available on Tuesdays, and it's quiet. And also, by the way, you don't want me sending you to Hollywood and Highland on a Friday in the summer. Are you serious? You want to eat a knife or something, or see a shooting, or see Spider-Man beat up a fake Superman? And I'm totally on Spider-Man's side on that. So, anywho, that's that deal. So, BBC's Quentin Sommerville, who is the war correspondent in Mosul, Iraqi security forces take him, and this is the kind of thing where if they trust you and they know that you're going to get the accurate message out, they're going to take you there. They found the ISIS suicide bomb factory, and it was a soup to nuts kind of operation. They identified likely recruits out of ISIS cadre. They would recruit the guys, tell them it's a great honor. They would then make the bombs, the whole thing. But here's a little bit of it. I'll tweet it out a little later on. It's a 5-minute, 46-second report, but it starts with him going through the wreckage, or not the wreckage, the mess of this house, this riverside house in Mosul. And by the way, he's Scottish, so if you can't understand him, I'll translate.
In their sleeping quarters, they were careless. Littered among bomb-making equipment and their clothes, they left a paper trail.
The men died fighting just nearby here, but this is where they lived. It's filthy, but it's full of instructions and orders.
And he's in a room, he's in a barren, long, stucco room with beds with no mattresses, and there's papers and things scattered all over the floor. He bends over and picks up a paper.
From the Caliphate. Also, all over this room, there are small hints to the people these men were before they joined the Islamic State.
There are well-thumbed notebooks and documents belonging to Abu Ali al-Maslawi.
And that's not a joke name, by the way. That's I know it rhymes, but it was actually the guy's war name, not his real name. And there's terrific revelations. These guys left behind personal photos. They left behind like high school graduation party photos and stuff where they're goofing on each other, doing rabbit ears and stuff. Oh, he's an ex-martyr. Got your nose and things like that.
Violence
Men
allowed.
died fighting just nearby.
As the militants ran low on adult fighters, they turned to new recruits.
The thing that really jumps out at you when you look at these private Islamic State photo albums is just how young many of the faces are in the pictures.
He said faces, not feces.
And intelligence officers here in Mosul say that this has been a striking aspect of the Islamic State's defense of this city. That not only have they used foreign fighters, and not only did they convert locals, but they created a brand new army of child fighters who are willing to sacrifice their lives for the caliphate.
So this is what scumbags these guys are. Okay, they've been in Mosul for a little over 3 years. So these kids that were 10 and 11 grew up watching the guys with the guns, not the good guys, but the ISIS guys, wanting to be them because they told everyone that we're brave and we have a cause and we're just and we're one with God and the whole thing. So it was easy to do exactly what a pedophile would do and groom these guys. And this is what they did in Palmyra, Syria, as well as in Mosul, where they said, well, all the cool kids after prayers on Friday get to go out and do target practice with a real-life AK-47. All you uncool kids, you don't get to do that. But if you want to be cool, come talk to our Lil ISIS recruiting cabin. And so they got kids at this age of 13 and 14 where they were saying, we've noticed you. You're good. They gave them self-esteem, and they said, you know what, we're going to take you out on a patrol because we trust you. We'll give you a real gun.
As the Nineveh Fire support group moved through Mosul, they left a bloody wake. And things would get darker still. As Iraqi forces closed in and Mosul turned against them, IS sacrificed the city.
So then, and this is where we're at now, that we know that they're doing this because there's just a few hundred of them left in a bunch of blocks. But what the Iraqi forces feared ISIS would do is what they did do. As they recede and retreat in, they began blowing up blocks, and they began tempting Iraqi and American forces to target certain buildings for maximum destruction. And so now what seemed like a friendly fire accident about 2 months ago when about 150 Iraqi civilians were killed, it now does seem more credible that ISIS basically were setting up blocks of civilian apartments for strikes by acting like they were headquarters or bomb factories or whatever. Anyway, a little more on this when we come back in the latest out of Iraq. It's Dark Secret Place live until midnight. Bryan Suits in here on KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. More stimulating talk. It is the Dark Secret Place. Bryan sits in here live until midnight, and I would do a live stream tonight, but for some reason tonight the official KFI, or I should say the KF Wi-Fi, the KFI Wi-Fi is sucking complete goat ass, so I can't do it. So maybe it'll wake up next. It's okay though, because Ryan Seacrest got $1 million studio, but there. So. If I can do it, I can do it. But, here's the thing. Here's the thing. From all of us in radio to all of you, this internet, fad. It's going away. Okay? It's like an 8-track, right? It's like Betamax, or VHS, all right? Don't pin your hopes on this internet, okay? When it's all done, when the dust settles, we will be here at amplitude modulation, okay? So just... have your fun now, but don't you worry. When you come crying back to AM radio, we'll be here. And we won't be streaming, because that's just silly. The Russian who was, and let me Jared Barsky was his name, and Jack Barsky. Here's a little bit of Mr. Barsky. We'll hear from him. Again, real quickly, if you're a fan of The Americans on FX, that's the reason that show works is because it's based on real-life people who really, really did this in the United States. They were called illegals because they had completely different names. They had second lives, right? Or the movie, that Kevin Costner movie, where he's the naval officer, but he turns out to be Yuri, the Russian spy. Anyway, this is the guy that trained them. So he's, listen to... This is him doing his American accent, then he throws in some German. Oh, wait, hang on. My bad. Oh, my bad. I brought the volume down. All right, here he is. Jack Barsky.
My name is Jack Barsky. My name is Albrecht Dittrich. I was born in Orange, New Jersey. I am originally from East Germany. I work with computers. To be really honest, I'm a KGB agent.
He's not an American. That is his American voice. Keep in mind, if you learn English, you're going to hear it. But he taught Russian illegals, and he says it took years to get someone to where they sounded absolutely native. He wasn't born in Orange, New Jersey. All right, the Washington Post, through the Obama administration, they decided to go ahead and cut the cord on this one, and they are laying their larger case that indeed, like as I believe, that Putin and Russia tried to do and executed what are called active measures to do two things: to interrupt or interfere with the nomination process of the Democratic Party, and then secondly, to erode Americans' basic faith in our democratic institutions. I think they succeeded in both things. I don't think they were the reason that Hillary didn't win. And unfortunately, it's going to give her for the rest of her life an excuse to not admit that it's her own fault, like, not going to Wisconsin and all that. Remember when those Russian MiGs strafed her convoy and she didn't go into Wisconsin? I don't either, okay? But so anyway, the Washington Post on Thursday with the story, Obama's secret struggle to punish Russia for Putin's election assault. And I should say, I'm sorry, this is yesterday. This is Friday. This is how the story starts out. Early last August, an envelope with extraordinary handling instructions arrived at the White House, sent by courier from the CIA. It carried, quote, eyes only, close quote, instructions that its contents be shown to just 4 people, President Barack Obama and 3 close aides. Inside was an intelligence bombshell, a report drawn from sourcing deep inside the Russian government that detailed Russian President Vladimir Putin's direct involvement in a cyber campaign to disrupt and discredit the U.S. presidential race. But it went further. The intelligence captured Putin's specific instructions on the operation's audacious objectives. So if you are to believe the Washington Post, they effectively just threw whatever source who out of the Obama administration that gave them this information right